Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. We are here once more to continue with, sorry. Nobody told me that my camera is off. Sorry. Good afternoon. Once more, this is our fourth day of session. I hope we all have been learning a lot. And we are one more day to finish our seminar, Improving Listening Skills in English Language Teaching. For today, remember to please keep your mics off to avoid background noises in the recordings. I just want to share this quote that says, of all the skills of leadership, listening is the most valuable and one of the least understood. Most captains of industry listen only sometimes, and they remain ordinary leaders. But a few, the great ones, never stop listening. That's how they get word before anyone else of unseen problems and opportunities. This quote comes from Peter Nolte. And it's true. We need to be good listeners. Sometimes we need to keep really quiet and just listen. And we have been learning for 3 days all the aspects and strategies about the listening skills. And I am sure that today is not going to be the difference. Remember, this seminar is available because of the combined work of the English Department Coordinating Committee and the Extension and Continuing Education Coordination. So we are going to ask Professor Marisol Ortega, who is the coordinator of the Long-Term Education Committee of the English Department of the College of Humanities of Universidad de Panamá, to give us some welcoming words.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, Professor Dr. Rubin. Well, it is our pleasure to have you here today. This is our fourth day of this seminar. Wow. Tomorrow is going to be the last day. I just wanted to tell you that tomorrow, remember that it is going to be at 4. So be on time for us to start at 4 o'clock, please. Well, with that said, well, God bless you all. I hope you enjoyed the journey, learning and adding new knowledge. Thank you for being here. Back to Veronica.
Thank you, Professor Marisol. And today, Professor Dr. John Robin is going to talk to us about instructional strategies to promote the learner's use of metacognitive processes, planning, monitoring, evaluating, to improve their process of listening, monitoring, and the role of cognitive strategies. So with no longer delay, Dr. John, the room is yours.
Okay, everybody, especially I see the gentlemen are not showing their faces, but I would like everyone to show your face. I went home yesterday and this is not, it doesn't give me, thank you, Eileen. I need to see your faces. I need to see what's going on. I need some feedback. In fact, let me say that the goal of all of this, of the 4 days and tomorrow, is to raise the learner's awareness of their listening process. Awareness. and to not only be aware, but think about some ways to listen more effectively. So we talked, one of the devices we have talked about is writing a journal. And that's a very important way for learners to recognize what problems they have and think about solutions. And if they don't have solutions and want them, then they need to ask their professor or their, better yet, their peer, what they could do. If it's something they know something about, all the better. So in order for you to understand what I'm talking about, I need that one page. I have an example of one diary before, and then I'm going to ask you to write a diary. And what I'm going to ask you to write a diary about is, you can go in, sorry.
The presentation.
Huh?
The presentation.
What we're looking for is that one little, Marisol, can you tell
Is
her
that
what
the
we're
page you want me to
The journal, yes.
share?
Mhm.
The journal.
Yeah. You know how to get it? Here we are. The journal. Okay. This is a journal which was written by a French woman, Michelle, and she was studying Spanish. And here's what she said. My objective is to feel at ease in order to use Spanish whenever I need it for work, but also to communicate with Spanish-speaking individuals. During the week, I have tried several ways of memorizing words, grammar, but had difficulties, especially if the words were new for me. So that's one problem she says she has, that she needs to, she's letting herself recognize her need for words and grammar, and why is if it's new words. As for the grammar rules, I keep on forgetting to use them, even if I knew them. As I work on my own, I decided to do things I liked instead of forcing myself on academic learning. I chose a short novel and read it through without looking at the new words, and I understood enough of it. In order to progress, I need to know, I know I need to use the right tenses. I took the text we have to prepare and tried to understand why the author used different tenses. It was easier that way. Will I remember some of it? Maybe. Okay, that is one example of a diary. For me, it's for her. I am finding that there is a disconnect between what her objective is and what she's doing to help with her objective. Right? She's reading, but she wants to learn. It wants to speak, in this case. She's worried about tenses. That seems to be something that could help her. And she's finding out that it helps to do something that she likes. That's a good idea. My goal for you today, and I'm going to give you 20 minutes, okay? I want you to write a diary. I call it a diary, it's a journal, about how you learned English. What kind of strategies, how did you go about it? Some of you learned it in classes, but some of you did some extra things. So what I want you to do is write a couple, 3 paragraphs, each of you separately, about how you learned English. I want you to think about your processes. How did you, what kind of activities did you use? I need to, once again, to remind you, because some of you still don't seem to get the importance between product and process. Product is whatever you do with the language. Process is what tools do you use to learn the language? Have some memory strategies? Do you anticipate or predict? Did you use context? If you don't understand and you're a speaker, one thing you can do is paraphrase. There are all kinds of things you can do to clarify and make sure that you are understanding. So those are tools. So if a teacher asks you to listen to something and then asks you questions, is there a process there? What's the process? The teacher is making all the decisions, right? She's deciding what questions there are. And if by some chance she asks them to predict, remember what I said about that. If you ask your students to predict from the title, you need to go a couple of steps further. The steps are: name it. Why do we name it? Because then we can use it and you can store it. Then you have to explain why it's useful. And you need to practice it. And so if you want to give your students a title, you can give them a title and say, we're going to try to see how useful this title is. How many of you can predict what it's going to be about? And make them write it down. And then you say, that's called prediction or using the context. It's helpful because maybe you can anticipate a process, what's going to happen. Or if the title is, gives you an idea, work with your colleague. Those of you who teach intermediate to advanced language, work with a colleague and you create the questions they have to answer when listening to a video. The idea is we have to stop controlling everything. We can't just give it away. That's what's called immersion. We're not giving it away and saying, you do it. I'm sure you all have heard of immersion. Nobody is talking about process. They're not giving them tools. Help. And it's this process or how to that we want to help people with and make them conscious of and decide which ones work for them. Any questions? Because this seems to be a bit of a sticking point, the difference between product and process. And I mentioned it to several of you. I did a review of 3 or 4 of them. And again, you marked, give the students a title and then have them listen and you ask them questions. If you ask the questions, think about it. In real life, people don't say, listen to this and I'll ask you a few questions, unless it's a course in history or something like that, but not in language. Okay, it is now 20 after. Monica, I want each of you to write 2 or 3 paragraphs talking about the techniques or strategies you used to learn a language, to learn English, and what problems you had and how you solved them. Okay? You're on your own, folks. Veronica, you will keep track of the time for us.
How much minutes did you give them?
20 minutes.
20 minutes. Okay. So that means at 1:40.
That's correct.
So that's individual work.
What?
That's individual work. They are on their own.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I
okay.
need ID. I want to work on their handouts. Can you help me with that ID? I want to go into.
So we're going to say like 20 minutes individual writing about some techniques or strategies for learning English.
About what?
Some techniques or strategies for learning English.
No.
No.
What techniques you use. All of you are expert learners. You have learned English.
Okay, what techniques I use?
I want this to be a personal account of what you did, what worked, what didn't work.
Okay.
Okay, so everybody's going to talk about themselves. You're not going to teach somebody else. You're just going to write a journal about your process of learning English. Other questions?
No.
How many paragraphs? Sorry.
2 or 3.
2 or 3.
2 or 3 paragraphs. Marisol?
Yes.
Are you there, Marisol?
Yes, I am here.
What I want to do while they're writing is I want to see if there are any new homeworks that I can make some comments on. And ID is here with the big screen and some
Well,
help.
if you want to do that, you have to access from your computer into the classroom. From your computer, you have to access into the classroom. You don't have to leave the Zoom room. You just have to press escape, and then the screen is going to reduce, and then you find the icon that you want to use the internet icon and access classroom. Did you get it? Okay, press escape, the key. In the keyboard, you have one key for escape. You press there, and then the screen is going to reduce. Then after that, that's going to allow you to see the icon for the internet. I mean, I don't know if you use Google Chrome or if you use Edge, whatever you use, well, just click there, and then you access through your email or to your classroom while they are writing. Okay.
Word account. They can't do that when we have a class.
Is there anyone helping you over there?
Right now, Marisol, she is talking to the workmen who are sawing, and it's impossible. Oh my gosh. Stairs. Okay.
Let me see.
Okay.
Talk to their boss.
For the ones that have just come in, what they're doing is that they're writing 1 or 2 paragraphs about what they did to learn the language,
That's right.
their process to learn the language. Okay.
Sorry, Dr. John. Robin,
Hola.
sorry for coming late.
Oh, okay. Did you get what we're doing? We are,
No,
no, okay. I am talking about, and I've asked everybody to sit by themselves and write a diary or a journal of 2 or 3 paragraphs about how you learned, the process by which you learned English. For a learner of English, what did you do to do it? What kind of activity, what kind of strategies?
okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, we have another 10, you should be able to write a couple of
She's
paragraphs.
going to send me the link.
What's that?
She's going to send me the link.
Okay, where are we doing now here?
We have to wait.
Huh?
We have to wait.
But how about here?
No, that's. Those are other classrooms.
Oh, okay, well, talk to Marisol.
I just sent it.
Send it to me.
Yeah, I sent it to ADK.
It's about Marisol, right? Okay,
Yeah, yeah, that's me. The thing is that my computer is giving me problems with the
all
camera.
right, thank you.
Yeah.
Cargado. That's yours. That's it. Sounds like they're moving. Uh-huh. Got a few minutes if we can get in, I'll do a little work. Okay, now where are we? Where do we go? All right.
Professor, excuse me, I have a question. Do we have to send this to your email or we just write it down in a paper
No,
and
no, what we have, I would appreciate if you would send it to me. That will help me as a teacher learn more about you, okay? So, or what I want is to go back to day 3. Are you ready?
not in my case, I mean, I finished in paper, but then I have to put that on computer because I thought that you was only request to say like here.
Say again?
That I finished, but I have to pass this to my computer because I thought that you only requested like say it, but not to send it.
Yeah, okay, so put it into your computer. We have another 3 or 4 minutes. Day 3. Mhm. I have to pay some.
Here.
Okay. First thing I said was, everybody please send me an email with your journal or diary. But I would like to hear from 1 or 2 of you, what did you learn? What were problems did you have, or what did you find most effective in learning English? See you show up, 2 or 3 people. Ready, raise your hand.
Professor, may I speak? Okay. I study at the University of Panama, and the main strategy the professors make is to teach, and we have to learn the grammar structure. The grammar structure, what is not so much difficult because it's very similar to Spanish grammar, but they make a lot of strategies like we have to read a short story, and they make questions and correct our errors. It was very dynamic process. They make that we speak anyway. We have no good pronunciation. What is the most difficult? At last, for me, was the most difficult, the high difficult I find in English, but the professors correct us in a very good way, and make that we write it down. Every day was a practice, speaking and writing and pronunciation, starting from the minor difficult to high difficult, from easy
Let me ask
to
you this. Let me
Yeah.
ask you this. You say that pronunciation is difficult. Did you
Yeah.
do any, there's terrible construction out here. Did you do anything outside of class to help yourself?
Well, the professors make
Oh, not what the professor did. What
video,
did you do?
repeat and repeat, and hearing and repeat it many times until I got it.
How did you know that your pronunciation was getting better? Did you have some way to compare it?
No, not really. Only in the classroom, the professor correct us, but this is the pronunciation is the more difficult because there are sounds that didn't exist in Spanish. But
Thank you very much, Alejandra. Anybody else? how they solved the problem, what
Okay,
problems
in
they
my
had.
opinion, one was we live in a, first we have to take into account that we live in a country where most of the people, I mean, I'm gonna say most, but all people speak Spanish. So and speak Spanish. So learning a new language was very difficult. So the most that we listen to a second language is in our schools. So we don't get in touch most of the time. We don't get into an environment where we all speak Spanish. I mean, speak English. So one difficult one for me as was the grammar structure. And when it comes to that, most of the, I mean, what I did was just pay attention to my professors, because in English we have different times. So we have the present, we have the past. I mean, and it was difficult. And as my classmates, my colleagues said, I mean, most of the time what professor says is giving up reading. So to readings, we need to know how was the grammar structure. But that was also learned in class. Something that had helped me was getting contact with English language, being in an environment where we share the same language. And as you are in an environment where everybody speak English, then you're gonna be push yourselves to speak the language. So it pushed myself to learn the language in one way or another, even though I don't have all the structure that I should had. I mean, I need to speak the language. That was one important technique. And the other one is through readings. Reading allow you to know new vocabulary. And by learning new vocabulary, even you don't know how that word need to be pronounced. So what you do is find a way where you can look at that word and the way it is pronounced, and it is good. So I recommend reading. I mean, reading is good because sometimes you don't know a word. I mean, that's new one, and you look for the pronunciation of that new word. And most of the time, what I do with my students, for example, is when they ask me, Professor, what is that word? I didn't ask the students to know the meaning of that word. I asked the student to look for the meaning of that word. And then most of the time, what I do is ask them to the next day, ask the students, okay, I write the word on the board and I ask the students, what is the meaning of that word? And do you
Very good.
remember how that word is pronounced?
That's very good. Thank you. I like that idea, Anelda, that instead of you're giving them the meaning, you sent them to the dictionary. And that's the way they have to do it because you won't be around. So they need to do that. The thing about today's world is you don't have to be living in the United States or in England or Australia, New Zealand to hear English. You have television, you have the internet, there are phenomenal amounts of resources.
Yeah, that's now, but when we were growing up, I mean, we don't have that kind of opportunity. I mean, we don't have that.
But let me say one more thing. Being exposed, oh, this is terrible. Being exposed doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to learn. You have to be motivated because we have women who have come from Asia, Vietnam in particular. They stay at home and they listen to the television all day long in English. They don't learn because they don't know how to learn. They don't know what to pay attention to. So exposure is good, but you need something else. Okay, I think we'll go on. Let me just see what's going on here. I think we're not going to do this. I want to get through today's lesson. Help. All right. I think we'll go on to day 4. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to do day 4. Where'd it go? It's day. That's day 3. Did you say? Okay, let me see if I can do this. Oh, there you go. Oh, we're 80 here. That's day 3.
This one.
Yeah, right. Not quite. Okay, let me see where we are. All right, we're gonna do day 4. We talked about, we're not gonna do this. Back up. Oh, all right, we're gonna, let's see what's going on. Okay. All right, we talked about the things that are part of self-regulation. And that how does, notice I'm saying self-monitoring, not teacher monitoring, not anybody else, self-monitoring. How does that fit into self-regulation? Well, first of all, you plan, and then you do something to learn. Monitor your results. And if you find some problems, you may try to find other solutions. All right. I want you to think a little bit about, do you ever monitor your own conversations, either in English or in Spanish? Do you monitor? Let me see a sign of someone who monitors. Let me give you an answer. I find that when I'm speaking English, sometimes you're talking so fast, you don't have noun-verb agreement. You know, you have a they and you have a singular or something like that. And I actually do a self-correction having monitored. And in Spanish, I monitor. If someone looks at me kind of, what's she saying? Then I try to restate it. I notice I monitor how they look. Are they looking at me like I'm crazy or strange, or they don't understand? So when I'm speaking, the same is true in English. I notice, think about monitor as notice. I notice in English, the person is looking, what's she saying, or why did she say that? I'm always aware of how what I'm saying is coming across. How is it the implication for, tell me, does anybody else ever notice that they're monitoring? They monitor either in Spanish or in English.
Well, as far as I understand that I'm not grasping it correctly. One way that I experienced like monitoring myself would be like, for example, when I'm speaking in English, sometimes I forget the correct grammar structure. For example, since I am not a native speaker, sometimes I say I didn't understood, when the correct thing is that you put didn't and then the verb in the base form. So I instantly correct myself. Sometimes I don't get realize of it, and sometimes yes. That would be like one example.
Okay, anybody else has another example of how they, as I say, I'm monitoring you all the time. That's why I need to see your faces. Are you nodding yes, as Anna is right now? Or are you sort of looking kind of blank? I don't understand what this is about. Anybody else want to say, here, I have a hand here. Adriana.
I don't know if that is part of monitoring, but I noticed that when I'm speaking to people from Panama, I speak fast and I use a lot of colloquial words. And when I speak in Spanish with people from another countries, I tend to speak slower and I use more generic.
Very good. If, for example, you find yourself using a slang and someone frowns, you say, oops, I better do that again. So at part of language conversation is monitoring. And when you're listening, you're monitoring. Did I understand that? What does that word mean? That's monitoring, noticing. All right. Osiris, I see you raised your hand. Where are you, my dear?
Yes, good
Osiris,
afternoon. I
raise
have
your-
I'm right here, I'm right here, doctor.
Okay. Gotta find
Okay.
you.
I have to say that I had the same situation like Isabella just mentioned before. Even though that my family from my mother's side, they speak the language very well because my grandmother, her first language was English. I didn't learn by my parents. I did have to go out of the country and learn the language. So I went out, but I learned probably how to speak, but I didn't know how to write and read, properly, all the words and, all the grammar steps. So until now, I still have some type of situation when I'm trying to read and write, especially with the birth tense, just like Isabella just mentioned. So my way to myself managing of the language is when I read or I try to write something, I have to double check all the time. I double check myself. Every time I write something, I have to do it.
I gotta tell you, as you may, if you looked at my webpage, you will see that I have written a great deal. I'm very experienced at writing. However, I go back over and the word for in writing, when I go back over and over and over, and I'm an English speaker, is editing. I'm always editing my own writing. Does this logic follow? Oh, I have a grammar problem. Oh, I do what we call wordsmithing. I change a word so it sounds more appropriate. So it's not just a question of speaking or sometimes I say, oh, what does this word mean? That's monitoring, noticing that you don't understand. So monitoring, being aware of what you're doing and figuring out what you need to change, that awareness is very important. And every one of us does monitoring. It's not in both our own language and in the second language. What can you notice? What you understand or don't. You might notice whether a text is interesting or not. And you might say, how do I feel while listening to this text or this speaker? Sometimes I hear people, I say, oh, I don't like, I don't think I'd like this person just because I don't feel right. Or remember that you have planning. What do we do when we plan? We set a goal, we do SMART goal setting, we do task analysis, and we make a decision about how we are going to listen, how we are going to write, when you're going to write. For example, I mentioned yesterday, I work best in the morning. So I try to get my work done, some of my work, my thinking work done in the morning. And you notice, did this work or not? How can I change my strategy so I can move ahead? These are things you can notice. Or what can I refer to? You check on. Sometimes when you're listening in a foreign language, there's a word you don't know, but it's not polite to ask, what does that mean? So you might write it down and go look it up. right? There's a beautiful flower here in Panama right now. And it's, what's it called?
Guayacán.
Guayacán. It's fabulous. But I can't remember the name. So there it is. I'm noticing, and I usually come by Uber and I say, oh, what's it called? Somehow I have to find a way to remember it. Okay. Oh, come on. Oh, come on, baby. Here we get done. Aha. Well, my question is, what are some teaching strategies you can use to help learners begin to self-monitor? All right, Veronica, are you with us?
Yes, I'm right here.
All right. I think that we're going to do this on one-on-one, but let's give everybody 5 minutes to think about some teaching strategy to help learners begin to self-monitor. One of the things that happens, and the reason I'm spending time on self-monitoring, is difference between an expert learner and what we call a novice learner, okay? The expert learner.
Excuse me, Dr. John. Are you moving the slides? Because we are still in the first, we are still in the first slide that say improving listening skills in English Day 4.
Oh my goodness. Thank you very much, but we can see it, but why can't you?
No, because I mean, I think that what you're sharing is something different.
Oh, where did ID go? Okay, well, let's thank you for telling me. What I have are ID. Okay, Marisol, we're having trouble. Are you home or here?
I'm here.
Can you come and help?
I
Because
mean, you mean
we're
here at the university? No, I'm home. Sorry. I'm
you're at
home.
home.
Yeah, what is it?
Maybe
You need,
you can tell. I have Adriana here. We tell us what we need to do so
you have,
that people.
ya tiene que habilitar edición, Adriana, donde dice habilitar edición. Click there.
ID, they're not seeing it.
The yellow, there.
Yeah, right there.
Oh, okay. Es que no, sí, se nos quedó, ella sí lo estaba moviendo. ¿Y qué pasó? Pero no, como si dos PowerPoint diferentes se estuvieran presentando.
Ok, entonces dejen de compartir y abran el PPT nuevamente.
ID is back again, Marisol, so she's gonna try and get us straightened out. Sorry, thank you very much.
Okay, all right.
That's 3.
I updated the classroom and I added a Google Doc for you to
Here
share
we
your
go.
journal.
Can you see this?
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Okay, welcome.
Technology will get you every time.
PowerPoints with them? I just,
This is a PowerPoint. They have it.
I may.
Let's see if it is. You're supposed to be. Can you see it? Adriana? Can you see, can you?
Pero sigue mostrándose el
Yeah, we can
papelito.
see it. Mhm. We can see it. Yeah.
Ahora sí. Okay, wait, don't go away. I gotta do that. Let's go down one more. All right. Oh, can you see? Oh. Oh. Hey. Back.
Yeah. Tanya.
It's how can teachers? No. That's the last one.
I mean, the only place we didn't see any other of the slices.
You're going to.
Oh, not yet, further up. Oh, here, back up. Here, right here, number
This one?
7, number 8.
That one.
It's not, okay,
It's number 8.
yep, number 8. Can everybody see it? They shouldn't be seeing this.
Yes.
Yes, I can see very well.
Okay. For the moment, I think we're there. All right, Veronica, give us 5 minutes. And everybody think for themselves, how can teachers promote self-monitoring? Okay?
Right
It's-
now it's 2:10, so that means at 2:15, everybody should be ready.
No, I'm just writing, I'm answering the chat. Act 1 or 2. Or maybe, let me see. I need to- How are we doing, Veronica?
A minute, one more minute.
Okay, good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Excuse me, I have a question. When are you going to share the attendance in the Google Forms?
That's a question for Marisol or Veronica.
Yes.
Now that's a question for AD Care. She's the one that checks the attendance.
Did you hear the question, Marisol?
Yeah, I'm answering. That's a question for AD Care. She's the one that shares the attendance.
Okay, that's 80 calories off. Huh?
She's going to do it sometime in the afternoon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, are we back? Okay. Veronica, have you called time?
Okay, everyone, please be back. Professor Joan is ready for your response to this activity.
Okay. I want to have two people who haven't spoken before. Two people to give me something new. How can you promote self-monitoring? And we'll start with you. Since you're sitting right beside me.
Yes, okay, so I thought about a strategy probably in a chart to monitor in my opinion, it's easier to begin monitoring other people than ourselves because we tend to pay attention more to other people than to ourselves. So I came up with the idea of brainstorming about a group of words, and then they have to list those words, and then they have to mention who are the people who interact with them most, like mother, father, brothers, sisters, teachers, friends, neighbors. And then they have to make a list of the words, then write Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, as in a square. And then they have to pay attention to those people and count how many times they mention the words that we selected. Like, for example, in Panama, it's very common to use the word chuleta or the word as a surprise or mentira as a sarcasm. So that student must listen to the word and select how many times does a person mention those words daily. So they had to complete the chart.
Okay. So that's good in that they're completing a chart, they're noticing their own use, or in some cases, you could do it for listening. How many times, listen to news broadcasts, and how many times did you hear this particular word, right? Accident, for example, is a common word, or shooting. This is where you're watching American television. Those are common words. And how many, just have a list. Okay, today between 3 and 4 o'clock, I heard this word 2 times or 10 times. And you might also pair up with a peer, and maybe they heard it 8 times and you heard it 5. So you might want to listen again if it's recorded and compare. Listen again and count how many. This is noticing. Okay, I want one more person who hasn't spoken. Let's have who
May I
has
have?
another idea of how to promote. Who's that?
Eileen.
Eileen, okay. Where are you? Hmm.
Well, some of the strategies that I find that are good for self-monitoring could be like glossaries, because it helps students to learn new words and check if they use a word correctly, according to the context. This has really helped me actually to learn a vocabulary. And some words have different meanings. So if we like meditate or search the different meanings, we can expand, our knowledge. Also, I think freestyle writing are also great ways to monitor if, for example, a student, we are doing a listening activity, we can like freestyle the general idea, and that way, like, they can check if they understood at least the main ideas of a reading, or in this case, listening.
What level are you talking about? What level?
What level? Could be like high school.
Like A1, A2, B1, B2.
Yeah, B1.
Okay. All right, let me give you some other ideas. Good idea. Remember, our whole focus here is to try to get you to think about the student, how to help the student help themselves. Now, years ago, I called that a paradigm shift. In other words, we as teachers have all been taught to have control and how to have control. But that, as I say, I can't teach you anything because I don't know how you learn best. I don't know what you're paying attention to. I don't know how you feel. You have to be in control, you the learner. So let me go on to some ideas. Here's some ideas. The journal, here's one way. If you remember, we talked about journals. I have a reading, which is on my webpage. You can access it. My webpage, and I listed it before and I can give it again. Note your own problems and how you address them. Or you
Perfect.
might keep a notebook. A lot of students like to keep a notebook.
Excuse me.
Either errors that they made and see how many times they made that error and under what conditions they made that error. Or what questions did you have? What does this mean? Or that. Okay. Inelda.
So in this case, like recording yourself, it would be a good technique, right? When you ask students to record, yeah, ask the students to record themselves, to record themselves.
And okay, but not just record. They have to notice.
Mm-hmm.
All right, recording is a document, if you like, but or it would be like if I wrote an essay. Here it is. Now you have to do something with it, and you would have them record. Have some way in which you want to ask them, how many times did you use the present tense correctly? Or how many times did you use the vocabulary that we talked about today? Okay, so it's not just recording is good, but imagine that you're recording, you're practicing a conversation with a peer. That's again, who asked the questions? What questions did they ask? Okay. Yeah, record themselves and monitor. Okay. Or this is a very interesting one. I think I may have mentioned it here. I had a student in Mexico, and her students were in the National Baccalaureate. You have that here?
What?
International Baccalaureate comes in high school. It's a special world-class program where students eventually compete in a debate. They have to do a debate. You have that?
We have some.
Okay.
Like when they're presenting on a speech and trying to
Right.
express.
Okay, so her students were trying to learn how to debate. And she asked them, they came up with the criteria. What makes a good debate speaker? She didn't give that to them. They came up and said, for example, looks the audience in the eye, looks around the room if you're doing that. Maybe presents, another good technique is to present the argument against your opponent, or has some visuals, or and doesn't speak with a monotone like this because people will fall asleep. So they came up with this list. Everyone, and then one person would make a presentation and the class would have this list, and they were asked to monitor how many times this person, or at least if this person, looked people in the eye, had some other devices to make it interesting, and help the students begin to be aware. And they gave that list to the student making the presentation. So their peers were looking at them and judging them and monitoring, were they meeting the standards that they themselves. Adriana mentioned the checklists. There are all kinds of checklists you could create. Okay, here we go. Oh, here's some more. Another thing you can do is suggest ways to take your own emotional temperature. Don't just be angry. Find out, how am I feeling? Ask them to say to themselves, how am I feeling? Because oftentimes people are angry or afraid, and they need to be aware of it. And you would ask them, what can you do about that? Shall we raise our hands, everybody? Everybody, this is the raising hand moment. Woo. Hello, raise your hand, stretch, stretch. Oh, doesn't that feel good? And stick it out.
Professor, like the one that you provided us before, like role play, I mean, it's a good one.
Which one?
Role play.
Role play.
Mhm.
Yeah, that could, but you could have, role play could be used if you have a checklist. You need a checklist so you can monitor. And most important, how can you promote if someone is talking, how could you help them self-correct? Pay attention to your grammar or pay attention to your intonation. All right. And how to concentrate on the task. You're looking away and you're not paying attention. Are you paying attention? That's why I want to see your faces. And you're not letting me. Get that? No. Okay. Or provide materials that require monitoring. Okay. Let me see. Why go back down? Why should you promote learner self-monitoring? First of all, it helps them troubleshoot. If I'm aware of what I'm doing, I can say, well, maybe if you're talking and you always use the same vocabulary, you might say, well, maybe I can find some other words to do that. Right? I keep saying the same thing. And one of the things that happens when people are speaking is they often say, and I'm talking about native speakers. And if you're not monitoring, it doesn't come across very well. All right. Another thing, acquire more control of the learning process. Setting goals, planning so that you can do this more effectively. Also, if you self-monitor, you will feel more self-efficacy. Now, this term is used in the literature to mean I can do something, right? So I feel in Spanish, I have good self-efficacy. People say, oh, you speak such good Spanish. Well, I know I can. And I tell them, sé defenderme. Okay, sé defenderme. I do feel that my Spanish allows me to speak. Also, you feel more motivated if you know what you're doing and how you're doing it, you'll get more motivated. All right. Oop. Now, there's another thing we're going to talk about. Where we are, we're fine. There's a controversy in listening that relates to bottom up or top down. What does that mean? Bottom up is focusing on words, syllables. In other words, starting with the syllables or the words or the phrases, and that's called bottom up. Then there's something called top down. That means creating a schema, a picture, a story, using the context and the cotext, what's with it, to identify words that are unclear. This is referenced in this book. It's a very good book about listening, and I'm sure you'll find some ideas. Nowadays, I think a lot of this stuff is on the web. You can get it. All right. So
The computer is slow.
it's slow in response.
Yeah.
All right. The bottom up consists of paying attention to words, sounds, linkages. What's linkages? Ju? What does that sound? What does that mean? G, no you, no Jew? G? Jew? Did you? People talk that way. They consolidate. G, no Jew? All right. What kind of words are people paying attention when they're doing bottom up? They're paying, helps to pay attention to positive and negative words. Those are key words to pay attention to. Important words, and how do we pay attention to important words? By the intonation. Transitions like first, next. On the one hand, on the other hand, these are transition. Well, sequence markers are first, next. Others are what I meant by that, or here's a summary. Okay, all right. All right. So here was, I found on the web, Jack Richards has a book, and he's talking about how important word stress is. This is bottom up. So imagine that, tell the students, listen to the sentence as I read it, and tell me, listen, I'm going to read it so the important word will have more emphasis, more stress. And I want your job is to tell me, is the word stressing where or when? Okay, for example, the bank's downtown branch closed today. Again, I repeat, the bank's downtown branch closed today. Now, where or when? Where? The bank's downtown branch closed today. The stress on downtown? Whereas if I said the bank's downtown branch closed today, bank's downtown branch closed today. Notice the rise and fall there. Is that where or when? That's when. It's a way of helping students pay attention to intonation, pay attention to word stress. Here's another one. I'm going to the museum today. I'm going to the museum today. Is that where or when?
When?
Yes. Versus, I'm going to the museum today. That's when. Okay. Now where it is. This is in Jack. There are more examples in Jack Richards' book online. All right, now if you want to promote top down, that refers to and requires you to use your background knowledge. What's the topic? What's the context? What's the situation? What's the relationship? And this could lead to questions like who, what, where, when, how many. So imagine that I heard on the news that there was a big earthquake in Turkey last night. Okay. Can you tell me what questions the word earthquake, that's top down, we all heard the word earthquake. What questions might the word earthquake generate? Somebody who hasn't talked today. Karen?
I think
Huh?
excuse me, yes, Isabella.
Isabella, okay.
Okay, I think that one question could be what was the intensity of the earthquake? What was the intensity of the earthquake?
Okay, yeah, well, we know it was a big earthquake, so you might say, was the intensity over 6 or over 7, if you know something about earthquakes. Okay, what other questions might you ask?
Where do
forward
you
to-
hear that news?
What?
Where did you hear that news?
Okay. All right, that's good. That's not bad because what you're doing is you're trying out. Did you hear it more than once? What you're
Okay,
saying?
what was the center of the earthquake?
Where was the set? What was the center? Yeah, Turkey is a big country. So
Yeah.
where was the center of the earthquake? What else?
Like how many people could be under dangerous?
How many people could be what? Hurt or killed,
Yeah,
right?
kill.
How many people were killed? Okay. and
Was
I
that the
guess-
first one? I mean, we can say like how many earthquakes have been in Turkey during the last years, for example?
Okay, last year or last week?
Okay,
So
yeah.
if you were
Yeah.
listening to the news
Sorry.
if you listened to the news a month ago, they had 2 or 3 earthquakes in a row. Right. What other questions? Who's helping? That was a big question on the Turkey-Syria earthquake because Turkey got quite a bit of international help, but the premier of Syria didn't want outside help. And so how many people are coming? Where are they coming from? Right? How many days? How many days are they going to continue the rescue? Okay, so if this is top down, we say it's an earthquake, you will, and this is your background knowledge, you know something about the topic of earthquakes. You know, and who's the relationships? As I say, the relationships are who's doing the rescuing or rescuing. That's what happened in Syria, unfortunately, for quite a while. Okay. Here are some questions I generate. Where was the earthquake? In other words, where in Turkey was the earthquake? How big was it? You asked that. How much damage did it cause? And cause and cost. In the case of the Turkish earthquake, we're talking billions of dollars. How many people were killed or injured? What rescue efforts are underway? And in this case, where? Turkey or, as it happens, Syria? What caused so much damage? Anybody know the answer to that one? What caused, why was there so much damage? Anybody listen to the news? No. What caused the damage, at least in Turkey?
Yeah,
Anybody know?
the Turkey, there was fatal, so many deaths, destruction of Turkey. I don't know, was really awful and sad, very sad because many people died about that.
Yeah, but why would, the problem was, in this particular case, I happen to know, is that the Turkey people did not pay attention to the building code. And
Yeah,
lots of buildings came down and killed people, and that caused the damage.
the government
Earthquakes don't always cause
avoid
it.
the law.
What's that?
The government avoid the laws of construction because
That's right.
what 7.5 and in Mexico there were 7.4 earthquake and the building didn't collapse. And in Turkey, because the government has to avoid that
Right.
law, then was
All right,
fatal.
now, in terms of, look at this. If you are trying to help people listen, and in this case, it's a kind of prediction, top down, from your top down knowledge, what you know about earthquakes, or maybe you heard about it. If the student can generate these questions, not you, the teacher, the student, from what they know about earthquakes or this particular earthquake, right? We had lots of earthquakes in this world, And we have some idea, I hope. You don't have them here in Panama, but you hear about them all the time. Okay? All right. Why would, oops, back up. Why would thinking about these questions help the listener? Why would it help them? Actually listen, you do the top down. What do you know about earthquakes? That's top down. How do Anna, do you have a comment?
Yeah.
Why would it help? Why would it
Uh,
help the student?
They can be more aware when if something like that happens in your country. You have to be aware what to do in case.
Well, as you're listening, I don't care whether it's first language or second language. Presumably, you have to think about the details, and then when you listen for them. For example, when they were coming out with the numbers on Turkey, we kept listening for how many. Every time, every morning, I would say to my husband here in Panama, how many, because it was so big, astronomical, right? And so these are things you listen for about. So it means that it's not just information coming into you, but you're listening when you know a certain topic, you know to ask questions. For example, let's go back to Pele. What questions would you want to ask about Pele? You're listening to an interview about Pele. Everybody knows who Pele is. He's your Brazilian soccer player.
Pelé.
Pele, you call him. Pele, okay. All right, Pele. All right, if it's Pele, and there's an interview with Pele, what would you expect what questions do you anticipate?
Well, about soccer, because he's a soccer player, so the question
Kind
would
of
be
question?
about.
You know anything about soccer?
Yeah, about
kind of
his career playing.
What's that? Wait a minute, hold on. Anna?
About his career playing soccer, how many World Cups he won, and of his accomplishments.
Very good. How many? What else?
His accomplishments.
Something about his accomplishments. What if you know? I don't know much about soccer. Let's find somebody. Let's take a famous actor. What's an actor that's famous here? Cantinflas from Mexico. Do you know Cantinflas? Cantinflas, okay. So suppose there was an interview about Cantinflas. What questions would you ask?
Well, I would ask him what made him become a comedian, because he was a comedian,
Good.
right?
What made you become a comedian, right? What else? How many movies have you played in? Right?
Yes.
What was your favorite actress to work? So listen to what might be coming along. Okay. All right. Now, when I'm saying when is each best used and why, well, I'm saying each refers to bottom up and top down. Bottom up, top down. And think about it. If you think about beginning learners, what are they going to you find easier to do bottom up or top down? And more advanced learners, why? And the question is, why would you do it with one thing with beginners and others with advanced? We have so much trouble with the breaking into groups. Monica?
I'm here, tell me.
Okay, why don't we give them a couple minutes? Give them 10 minutes, break them up into groups. How many people we have? 15 or more? I see there are 22 participants. That's more than yesterday, I think. How many participants?
We are 22 and we have to deduct 5.
Oh, 22 includes you and me and Marisol and Amy and Dulces. So how many participants do we have?
We have 17 participants.
Okay. 17. All right. So we said groups of 4. So we'll have 4 into 16. Wait a minute. 4 times 4 is 3.
4 groups.
Right. And one will have 5.
So you want 5 groups?
Yeah, maybe better have 5 groups. Yeah, 4 groups of 3. 3 times, okay, 3 into 15 is 5. All right, so 5 groups of 5, and 2 of them will have, sorry, 5 groups of 3, and 2 of them will have an extra 10 minutes to do that. One person takes notes. Okay, I'm going to let you do that.
Professor, excuse me, I still don't understand what we have to do.
Okay, I'm happy. Thank you for your question. I want to make sure you understand the difference between top down and bottom up. Okay, what is bottom up? It's dividing, listening for particular words in a sequence. Something like fill in the blank, that top down or bottom up. That's top down because it's assuming that have all the vocabulary on either side. Well, if you assume that they have all the vocabulary, I would say that's probably a more advanced learner. That's hard for a beginner. So we have top down, paying attention to your background knowledge, that kind of thing. Bottom up is hearing individual words or finding the answer to it, requiring only word. So I want you to think about when you use the to answer my question, I guess. All right, that's all right. And Adriana is saying I've answered your question. In other words, there are 2 different processes involved in listening, right? One is paying attention to the individual sequence of the words and grouping them into phrases. And that kind of thing is something that a beginner would, because they don't have that much vocabulary. Whereas if you have exercises like fill in the blank, or even I ask questions from a sentence, that's more advanced. Now, advanced, I don't mean necessarily that you're, this is an extreme. Beginner might be, the advanced could be B1, B2, intermediate, okay? So do we need to divide up? I think not. Okay. Oh, here's the homework. Well, I got through early. Let me see what else I have. Oh, I've gotten, oops.
Are we ready to break the groups? How much time are you giving them?
I'm not gonna break them up, I guess, is what I said. I answered it.
Oh.
I tell you what I would like to do. It's 5 minutes to 3. Let's take our break of, am I right? Yeah, take a break until 3:10. And I'd like to go back and do the role play because I think we didn't give that enough time. Any questions? Okay, so Veronica, please keep time, and we're talking about 10 minutes after 3.
Professor,
Okay.
excuse me, I have a question. In regards to homework, can we do that in groups, right? Or that is individually? That would be after, I mean, the test that we have to submit to classroom.
Well, I think you can do this one on your own.
Okay.
Do it on your own. If you don't have a book, find a book for teaching English. There might even be some in the library here, huh? Any other questions? Okay, so let's take 15 minutes. Here we go, day 3. I'm almost there. Okay. Wait a minute, she's here to help me. Down to role play.
Really slow.
Fast at times. Right. Adriana. All right, well, I want to return to this role play because we didn't really get going too far, and ask Adriana to be the learner, and we're going to demonstrate. I'm going to be the facilitator. And let's talk about the role play number 2. Okay, Adriana, you come to me. I'm a facilitator. And can everybody hear us?
Sorry,
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
around my house it's raining so hard that I cannot hear anything that you all are saying. That is pouring.
It's pouring, no kidding.
Yeah.
Where are you?
I am in Chinese, in the capital, but a neighborhood that is named Chinese, and it's pouring right now, and I cannot hear anything.
How about you, Hilda? Can you hear?
Sorry?
Anna, can you hear us?
Yes,
Hello?
I can hear you very well.
Anna, okay, right. Shake your hand.
Yes, yes,
And,
yes, we can hear you. I can
all
hear
right.
you.
And Hilda, okay? Okay, so what we're going to do, because I want you to understand, huh? Or what I want you to understand is how to help your students. And remember, we're talking about changing the paradigm, changing it so that you don't make all the decisions, but that you get your learner to begin to understand how to do it. So what we're going to do, I'm going to be the facilitator, and Adriana is going to be the person coming to me for help. And we're going to do role play number 2. So this is the one where you say you need help in participating in a cocktail party. I don't know, I could be a facilitator. let's say I'm just a friend of hers.
Okay.
And she's going to participate in a cocktail party. And look at the instructions. They say, planning for an event by helping them think about their goals, their purpose, and the task analysis. So the questions I am going to ask will relate to why are you going? Why is this important to you? What are you going, what do you want to get out of it? Why is this important to you? What are cocktail parties like? Okay, come to me, baby.
Okay. Hello, Joan. I am so scared because I need to go to a cocktail party and I don't know what I have to wear for that cocktail party.
Okay. We need to find out a little bit more about you. And are you going to a cocktail party? Why are you going to the party?
Because my best friend invited me.
Your best friend invited you. And when you go, what do you want to do there?
I want to meet new people.
Oh, you want to meet new people. So,
No.
okay, so this is your first time. Do you know anything about cocktail parties? What happens?
You drink a lot?
Okay. What else happens at a cocktail party?
People dance.
Not usually, but okay.
You try new food?
You do what?
Try new food?
You try new food. And you mentioned that you thought you might want to meet some new people. Is that one of your goals because you're new to the area?
Yes.
Okay, so what happens, you're right, people do drink, but there's a lot of talk. People at a cocktail party are talking to each other, sometimes two at a time, sometimes three or four. But the question I would ask you is, what do you think would be good questions to maybe find out that you have some reason to be friends?
Pets.
Very good question. It said, I'll ask pets, because pets are a neutral topic, right? And do you have pets?
Yes.
Okay, so what would you ask them about pets?
They like dogs or cats?
Okay. And okay, what else? If they say they prefer cats, what would you say?
That I'm a cat person too. I love cats.
Mhm.
So we can become friends.
We wouldn't necessarily say that, but yeah, you're a cat person. What questions would you ask to friendship, the beginning of a friendship? Well, we're actually, it turns out we're cat people too. We have two cats. What about, where do you get your food? What kind of food works best for you?
Oh.
That would be one question.
Yes, or if they like a spicy food.
Really? That's like Spanish.
No, sorry. We're still talking about the cats. I was thinking that I changed.
Oh, you changed the topic.
No, I changed in my mind what I was talking about. So I need to stay focused in one topic.
Okay, well, let's talk a little bit more. So how many cats do you have?
One.
Okay, you could ask the other person, how many cats do you have?
Okay.
What other question could you ask about the cats? Their cats. Cats.
if if their cats are lovely,
Friendly.
friendly, or
Okay.
grumpy,
Or grumpy. Okay. What else?
or if they can describe the personality of their cats.
Okay. Very good. And you could just your cat.
Yeah.
What? What else is important about cats?
If they are sterilized.
Okay. I'm not sure I would go into that question. It may not be something you want to do. Okay. What about things like age and color?
Oh, yes.
A lot of people, cats differ in their personalities depending on their age, depending on their color, not in the color, but okay. What breed they are? Is this an alley cat or is it?
Street cats.
All right, well, that's all right. Okay, and then what else could you ask? Where did you get the cat? Come by the cat.
What veterinarian do you visit?
What's that?
What veterinarian do you visit?
Yeah, what veterinarian do you visit? Do you like them? Right, there are lots of. Another one you can ask is, where did you get the cat? Is it an adopted cat from a cat place, or did someone have cats?
I took mine from the street.
Okay, I got mine from the street. Okay, but you could ask the other person, right?
Okay.
So there's a lot of questions you could ask if you wanted to be friends, and cats was one of the topics. Okay, what's another topic you wanted to talk about? How about food? So you're new in town.
Restaurants, what are
Yes.
the best restaurants?
Yeah, so what would you ask?
I will ask, what is the best restaurant for you in town?
Okay, and I would ask you is what kind of food do you like?
Oh, yes. Or if there any, I like Indian food, if there are any Indian food restaurant.
Okay, good.
Or Mexican food
Okay,
restaurant.
okay, very good. And what else could you do to make friends? No, what else could you do? You could maybe say, do you like Indian food? And try to find some reason to be together with, I don't need to tell you how to make friends, some reason to share an experience.
Okay.
Right, so you need to be prepared. You say you need help in participating. Have I given you some ideas?
Yes.
Yes, so, okay. All right. Does that give you an idea of what I'm talking about? What do you notice about our interaction? What do you notice? I'm the facilitator and she's the person with the problem. But what did I do? How did I help her?
You
What did
help
I do
her
to help?
by providing
cue question?
questions that could happen at the event.
Questions?
Or providing
Reminding?
or you were like providing her the environment so she can get what she should ask.
Mhm. So we talked about the environment. What's a cocktail party like, right? And I could ask some more questions, but basically I was trying to get her where she could, to talk about what her interests were, and part of her purpose in being at the cocktail party, partly to please your friend, but also you had a goal of meeting some we talked about what is the nature of the interaction and what can you use, what strategies can you use to make friends? Okay, all right. That was a model for you. Remember, I always talk about when you present a strategy, and I've written this in many of my comments to you, but when you are presenting a strategy, I don't care whether it's brainstorming or thinking about questions related to a title or recommending they use cognates, all kinds of strategies, but first model, and my mistake when I, with this role play yesterday, I didn't provide a model. And some of you, for whatever reason, didn't know or what was meant by a role play. A role play is two people, one takes one role and the other takes the other role. And this is a good technique. A lot of teachers use it. Okay, so Veronica. Veronica.
Yes, yes.
Can you hear me?
Far, but I can hear you. Tell me.
Okay. So how many people? We have 17.
Okay, let me see, because we have less people now. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means that we are 19. We have 14 participants.
Okay, perfect. So that means we can have 7 groups of 2 people. And I would say we have time. What I want you to do when you do the role play, first, one person is the facilitator like I did, and the other is what we're calling a learner. And I want everybody to do both role play 1 and role play 3. We did role play 2, we have time. And in the role play 1, the first of 2 people, one of you is the learner and the other is the facilitator. In role play 3, you switch roles. One of you is the other one of you is a facilitator, and that person, the person who wasn't a learner the first time becomes a learner this time. Any questions? All right, and remember, let me remind you, I was asking her, why do you want to go? That's purpose. You know, what's your goal? Her purpose was to please her friend. That's relevant because she wants to keep her one friend. Her goal there was to meet new people. And we started talking about what is the nature of a cocktail party? You know, what kind of people go to cocktail parties? I didn't ask that, but that's a possibility. What is the structure of a cocktail party? Is people in groups of 1, of 2, 3, etc., sitting around and talking, right? In terms of rhetoric, it's basically conversational, expository, occasionally descriptive, right? Those kinds of questions. The language is informal, question answer kind of thing. And then depending on what topic, in this case, we picked the topic of cats. And we were talking about what could you ask about a cat? Think in advance, right? Those of you who, we were just invited to a cocktail party and
Okay, let me know when you are ready for the breaking room.
I will, just a minute. I was just invited to a cocktail party and I thought, do I really want to go? This was in Maryland. This is a president and the president of a board of an organization that I spent several years with out in Hawaii. Really had to say, my first question was, what am I going to gain from doing this? I know what they're gaining. They're both, big, important people. And I have a feeling that they want to ask for money. That's my idea about what this cocktail party is all about. So I'm not sure I want to go. And but maybe I'm thinking about this cocktail party. Maybe there will be some new people for us to meet that might have similar interests. Okay, so this is a way of helping the learner think about some activity. Something is that these are, remember I talked about real life tasks. Listening to a newscast in order to make a report. In order to is the purpose. In this case, the purpose, I've given you the purpose already. In the case of job interview, we're not sure what the purpose is. Maybe it's a practice. Maybe it's a real thing. Okay, so let's do this. Veronica, would you please give us an idea of what the groups are? And then
Sorry?
I will give you.
What did you say?
Please tell us what the groups are and send them to breakout rooms and then give them, let's give them 20, give you until 4 o'clock.
You said give them 20 minutes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Doctor, I have a question.
Question, who's asking?
Yeah, Anna. Yesterday we were working on the role play with a partner. Can we use the same partner? Because we were.
Well, you better talk to Veronica. You
The
can talk to
thing
Veronica.
is that I don't have the names of the groups we were working with yesterday. So and the breaking news is already a setup, 2 per group.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
so sorry.
Okay, doesn't matter. Okay.
So I'm going to send you to the breaking rooms. There are 2 per group, and then let me know if something happens. Okay.
Veronica,
Yes.
what I appreciate you're doing is, since we're going to have 20 minutes, let us know when 10 minutes.
Let us know when 10 minutes what?
I guess it is past. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Everybody has. What else? What else did you learn from doing that, being a facilitator?
Give students steps to do what they want, or provide students steps to do any assignments.
I don't quite get it.
I'm
So we're
sorry.
never mind. Well, students talk about how hard was it once you, the facilitator, asked the questions for them to give you answers. How hard was it in the case, for example, of a job interview? Know much about what a job interview would be like. And how can you, let's take the job interview because I think that's important. I want to learn about how to do a job interview. Is that what I had was interview, I think.
Yes.
Interview. What can you do to help them? You can ask them questions, but they need to know where to look for the answers. You got something to say, Adriana?
We that and then I try for her to how she can or what skills she can embrace.
What she can what?
What skills can embrace during the interview, and how she can recognize when she gets nervous so she can stop doing it.
Okay, very good. Okay. Okay. On the job interview, the other thing is, remember we've talked about, you need to know something about the culture of the company. You need to know what, and then are they, yesterday we talked a little bit about that. Is it a place where everybody's supposed to work very, very hard? You need to know those things. You need to know, I don't know, did anybody ask about chances for advancement? Depending on the job, some jobs are what we call dead end. Get the job and that's it. And, you know, you might want it. That's something you might want to ask. You know, how many, and also what are the benefits? That's a question. What are the benefits? And in some cases, I don't know about here, but in some cases, you don't get benefits until you've been there for 3 months or 6 months. And if you were planning on not so good. So as a person doing a job interview, you need to know what kind of questions they're going to ask you, but you also need to have some questions to ask them. Interactive process. Okay. How about on the, how did you manage on the doing a report? How many of you writing a report of a newscast? Did you find it easy to get questions? What questions did you get? Maria Isabel, I don't see your. Come back. Indira, I don't see you. Anna, what did you find out on the newscast? Anna.
Well, we did the news. No, we did the job interview.
You only
we
did the
didn't-
job.
we did. No, we only did the job interview. It was very interesting because
yeah,
it's interesting because it helped you. It helped both of us, not only the person that is helping, but what we are doing for the other person, helping the person. If it's the first time they are having an interview, and it was, we did I worked with Adriana, and she asked me a lot of questions, and it was very helpful for me.
Okay.
You,
So
you need an
that's-
example? You want an example? No.
What's that?
For example, no, do you want an example of what she asked me?
Okay.
Okay. For example, she asked me why I wanted to go to a law firm, because I told her that to help me because I had a job interview in a law firm.
You did have such a job.
And she asked me what position, and I told her I was going in a secretarial position. And she asked me if I had any experience or what did I expect. Another question was what do I do if I get nervous?
If you get nervous,
Yeah, I told her, yeah, I get very nervous. In my case, I ask for a glass of water, or I tend to squeeze my hands.
Okay.
And so on, and we kept talking. It was very good. I like this dynamic a lot.
Okay, so she would basically what you're helping the learner do is get information about whatever the topic is, whatever the task is, so that they can be prepared, and getting them to think a little bit about what they need to do to prepare for it. Whatever it is, these are real life tasks. Anybody else have any reaction to what the Javier? No sleeping alone.
Professora, Javier and me made the two role plays. Okay, I'm going to be the facilitator to Javier. Javier, what kind of information you listening in a newscast party?
I listen to a country's problem, like economical problem.
Which country problem did you say? I'm sorry.
Economical problems.
Yeah.
Which station has economical problems? You know which is there a station that has economical problems?
BBC.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What else did you ask him, Alejandra?
Okay. What about bank collapse? Do you know about that? I hear something, but I don't know. You maybe hear more than that, Javier.
Yeah, I listened to a bank collapse, and there are so many worries about losing their money in the United States.
What's Silicon Valley?
The name of the bank?
Yeah, what's the name of the bank? Because I hear something, but I'm not very sure about that.
Well, I don't have its name in my mind, but
probably Silicon Valley Bank.
Silicon Valley Bank. Yes.
I know about Suiza has problem, and I think that another Swiss bank is going to help them with so many billions. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I also heard that.
Okay, Javier, you're going to listen to the newscast. You're listening to BBC. You find the information about the newscast. They're on for half an hour. BBC is on for half an hour, right?
Yeah.
So where do you expect to find the information? The beginning?
Pardon?
Where do you expect to find the information?
Okay. Might be on a BBC channel, also a newspaper also.
Okay, why would it be at the beginning?
Okay, at the beginning, because that is the heading. That's the heading of today. That's
That was
important.
one of the headings of the day.
Yeah.
Okay, now you're going to write a report. What kind of report are you going to write? Kind of report. Who's the report for?
Okay, is to make a summary of the headings of the news.
Why? Who are you doing it for?
Because I was asked to write it
By whom?
by my boss.
By your boss. Okay. All right. And is it going to be? Are this is in a company, so you're asked to write a summary of the news. And what kind of language do you expect to use?
Well, kind of okay, not so formal, in between formal and informal language.
Who else is going to read that report?
People, general public is going to read it.
I thought you said you were writing it for your boss.
Oh, okay, formal language. Okay.
I mean, I'm just following what you told me.
Yeah, that's right.
It's just for your boss. Is he going to circulate it? Is it going to go around the office, or just he wants to know and he doesn't have time?
Yeah, formal language.
Language. And since it's about you say you're writing about an accident, what kind of language would you think you'll hear? Sorry, it's not an accident, bank failure. What kind of information do you expect to hear?
Financial information.
Like what?
Like what's going to be the causes, what's going to happen to the income of the depositants.
Depositors.
This kind of technical words are going to use there.
Depositor, yeah, technical word, depositor, right? Okay, do I have a question from you, Adriana? No? No, okay. All right, well, I think, how about somebody else? Isabella, what did you do? Work with.
Well, honestly, I arrived late because I was working with someone, so I had yeah, exactly. But I listened practicing two of my classmates. I think it was Eileen and Enelda, that she already practiced. They already practiced. So I don't know if they want to present.
How about Indira? Indira, what did you do? Indira? What did you do? Is she there, you think? Who knows? That's why not having your picture makes it hard. How about Osiris? I know you were doing one. What did you do?
Oh, we did a job interview.
Okay. Who'd you work with?
I was working with Karen Arango, but she was writing me, explaining me that right now she have a power line issue, so I don't know if she's here already.
Oh, so you weren't able to do it?
Yes.
Okay. How about Maria Isabel? What did you do? Maria? How about Zelfa? I see you there. What
yes,
did you
hello. Yes, of course. I was just working and on the dialogue about a cocktail party tonight. So, and we were just discussing that we were just organizing this activity in order to have our students practice vocabulary words. And in addition to it, to have also learn different phrases and things that, you know, that they will need in order to create a good conversation among the students, okay? And yes, it was fine.
Who would you work with?
Okay, I was working here with, I think, let me check the names.
work with Zelfa?
Yes, I was working with, it was with, I don't remember the names. I'm so sorry. We were two more. We were like three, but only two of them were doing the like the conversation because it was a dialogue between two, and I arrived at the end. So the names I
make a
really, Adriana, I think I'm not quite sure on the name. I'm so
No, it
sorry for
wasn't
that.
Adriana.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
the point of, what was the point of the role play?
Yeah, it was like a role playing
No,
between.
what was the point? Ellen, what was the point of doing? Why did I ask you to do it?
Clear about our goals, what to expect in a certain situation.
Somebody else? Any idea? Why did I ask you to do it? No, Hilda? Why did I ask you to do this?
Okay. I'm sorry.
Hilda?
Okay, to make to know or the student know the goals, to achieve their goals.
Why did I ask you to role play? You're a student in my class, my workshop. Why did I ask you to do that? Never mind the students. Why are you doing the role play?
Self-monitoring.
Hmm?
Self-monitoring. Self-monitoring. For student self-monitoring.
I don't quite understand what you speak slower.
For
Okay,
students self-monitoring.
Self-monitoring. Okay, yeah. Basically, it's to think about turning the thing around, and for the students to, instead of you asking the questions, although you do, but begin to think about, what do I know about a job interview? What do I know about a cocktail party? What do I know about a newscast? What do I know about? And basically, I'm asking you, when you're the facilitator or the teacher, I want you to practice not giving all the answers. That's what you've been trained to do, is give the answers. That's not the point. The learner needs to think about, what are the questions and where can I get the answers? That's why I asked you to do it, was to think about how to help students begin to take responsibility rather than you're asking all the questions, you're giving them all the information. That's not where we're coming from. We're coming from trying to do self-management. I think I talked to you maybe yesterday, the day before, about writing this paper on DNA. Did I talk to you about it? Anybody remember if I did? When I was a graduate student, I had a course in physical anthropology. And my assignment of a paper was to, the genetics in the 20th century. Genetics in the 20th century. It was just the beginning of DNA, had Mendelian genetics, and a lot of it involved physics and chemistry. I didn't know much about it. Okay, so what did I do? The person said, this is a major university in the United States. He wasn't going to help me. I didn't ask for help. I had to spend all the time. It took me 7 weeks to get the information, because I didn't know any physics. I didn't know any chemistry. This is today's genetics, but I had to figure it out by myself. I had to know I had to figure out where to look, how to trying to do is to turn it around so that you don't have all the control, that the student begins to think about, okay, what kind of task is this? Why am I doing this? What am I going to get out of this? That's why I asked you to do it. Some of you did much better. Thank you very much. And I hope we're basically, I'm done for the day. Does anybody have any questions? No? No? Anybody else?
I do have a question in regards the assignment. You didn't post. I think it was Veronica who posted that it was about the journal, but we already sent you that. But do we have to resubmit that?
You have to resubmit it? No, I haven't. Did everybody send their journal to me? I looked briefly at my email. I see that a few of you did. If you haven't already sent me your journal, please be sure to send it to my email, which is Joan, Joan, 134@gmail.com.
Professor, we have to send that directly to you, or because I posted that on Classroom. Professor, I don't know if a Professor Marisol or Professor Veronica, they open an assignment for us in Classroom, so we were able to post that in Classroom too.
Okay, but you have to also remember that you have the assignment for today.
Sorry. The assignment for today says task 4, day 4, and then the journal says my own journal. So they can differentiate it very well.
Both of them can be put on.
Yeah.
Okay.
So two tasks, the journal and another one for tomorrow. Yes.
Yeah. Both of them, they can be very well differentiated. So
I have
you won't
to
have any
upload
problems.
I have to upload the journal. Okay, thank you.
But I don't understand the task about the journal.
The journal, Isabella, is what you did while you were writing.
Okay, we
Remember
have
that,
to
Professor?
resubmit that.
Yeah, you have to.
Okay.
Yeah, you
learn
have
the
to.
language.
Yeah.
And the other one is about a lesson that we have to do, where we have to develop a short lesson to help the students learn to monitor themselves.
Yeah.
That's the other one. And I can see that those two are on Classroom.
Yeah, I can tell that you're reading from Classroom. Yeah.
The other thing I can tell you about learning Spanish, I had trouble with the trilled R. So I was walking around Washington, D.C. going, a trilled R, that's hard in your vocal. And that actually turned out to be difficult because, and I didn't do it, I was in Ecuador and the president was named Correa. And I said Correa. And they said, huh? President Correa? No, it's President Correa. I don't have to spit Correa. So I was practicing that. It's very hard for us to do. And I practice it many, many, many times.
Can I tell you something? Can I tell you something? On the contrary, where you were talking about Korea and Korea. Okay, some time ago, I was working in the Cameroon and I have a partner who was a hostess. So she had a partner too, and his partner was a waitress. So the waitress, she told me that narrative story. So his friend understood to the American people. She said, I would like a Coke, but please don't ice. I would like a Coke, but please don't ice. And he said, but please don't ice, don't ice. I would like a Coke, you know, but please don't ice. Yes, ice. Yes. So he understood that she would like to say no I in Spanish, like no I, that there is an ice. And he said an answer in Spanish, see I. So he wanted to put it inside inside the glass the cup of ice, and the girl was angry because she said no ice. And he said in Spanish, sí hay, that there is in English. Sí
So we're
hay.
back and forth between English and Spanish, right? Okay, good.
Yes.
Everybody, Marisol is going to send us, what, is there, is this? are we
It is
going to-
already, it is, I mean, whatever, the assignment is already uploaded. And the documents that you need for tomorrow are already uploaded. So what is it that I have to say now?
So basically, when I'm out of the country, you're going to send me a connection, a Zoom
Oh, I
connection?
have to send you the link. Yeah, I'm going to send you the link. That's what yeah, if it changes, I don't think it's going to change.
Yeah, but basically a good idea. Send me the link, which has
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, by email.
Okay.
Yeah.
Professor,
Okay.
so the time, what about the time? Is it saying it's gonna be from 4 or from 5 to 8, or what's gonna be the time?
4 to 8, 4 hours,
From 4 p.m. to
8 at night.
Tomorrow?
On Friday,
Tomorrow.
yes?
Yeah,
From 4 to
tomorrow.
8.
Okay.
Tomorrow is the 17th, I think.
Yeah.
Or tomorrow,
It's gonna be
tomorrow
Zoom,
from 4 to 8.
virtual
From 4
also, no?
Okay.
Yes, it is
Yes.
going to be virtual from 4 to 8.
Yes,
Oh,
It is
because
going to be virtual
so
from 4 to 8 because remember that she's traveling to Colombia tomorrow. So she's going to join us from Colombia.
are you living in Colombia?
I envy you, Professor. I would like to go to Colombia.
Yeah, the only question I don't know is, does Colombia have the same time as Panama?
I will do the
Exactly
same.
the
Yes.
same. Exactly the
Yes.
same time. Yeah.
They also didn't go on daylight saving.
They
Okay.
also, what?
States, we came off of daylight saving. So before this past weekend, Panama and Maryland, where I'm from, were the same time. But now, because they went off daylight saving, Maryland is an hour later.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
The thing
so
is that
but-
in
We don't have
Panama,
the changes.
yeah, we don't make those changes in Panama. We don't,
and
I mean, we don't run
they
the,
don't, they don't in
No, we don't
Colombia
have,
either.
we don't have those hour change
But
here.
does Colombia have it?
No, Colombia doesn't either.
Okay.
No.
All right, everybody.
Bye-bye, Professor. Thank you very
Bye.
much.
See you later. Tomorrow.
Bye-bye. Have a good trip.
Tomorrow at 4
Enjoy your
o'clock.
trip. Professor Marisol. I'm sorry, Professor Marisol, you're driving. I was gonna ask you a question.
Okay, hola, hola.
Yes.
Enelda, right?
Yeah, it's Enelda. Yes, that's
Enelda, I was going to ask you a question. For today, we had to just to deliver her what? It is like
we have to deliver a journal. We have to
A
deliver
journal.
a journal, and we
Okay,
also have to. We have another assignment, but those assignments are on Classroom. Professor
Yes.
Marisol posted them already.
Okay, I will. I will. I will check that.
What is the topic of the